evening, folks! I say that because it's nighttime outside, at least in my area. This is the one and only Sonic Ranger, back with another video review of epic proportions. Today we are taking a look at something that I've been dying to get a hold of since the first announcement of this Combiner Wars set. It is none other than Transformers Generation / Combiner Wars Devastator. So, what we're looking at right now is the box art for Devastator. This is an amazing, amazing work of art. It's amazing. I mean, you got yourself a story going on right here. On the planet Cybertron, the mighty Devastator appears and is about to wreak havoc. But it's not just the artwork that really makes this packaging very cool. It's the fact that this right here, I believe it's the very first time that Hasbro's done this with the Transformers line. It's like the Marvel Legends Infinite series, which is also produced by Hasbro. The packaging art here for Devastator actually pops right out of the card back. This right here is nice. I mean, you can feel Devastator. That is cool. Other than that, it's pretty much your standard obligatory packaging. I mean, you've got your character's name right here on the bottom left. You've got Hasbro's logo on the bottom right. You've got the misaligned generation stamp at the top right corner. And finally, Transformers going down. So that's pretty much the front of the packaging. So let's go ahead and flip it to the back of the packaging. What we got on the back is pretty much the promotional shot for the figure of Devastator, all combined up. Very nice. You got a number indicating which character makes up what limb and what body part, which is nice. So there's a bio right here of Devastator, which I don't have to read because I've shown it off already. Your characters and their steps. So let's see, Hook takes 9 steps, Long Haul is 8. Scavenger is 17, Bone Crusher 16, Scrapper 10, and finally Mixmaster is 8. You know what? I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and open up this bad boy so we can see the mighty Devastator out of his packaging. I'm actually kind of sweating here. I am very, very excited to get this bad boy out of this box. Oh, the excitement. Can you feel that shiver running down your spine? Alright, so let's get up close and personal with the Constructicons and their construction vehicle forms. Now, I have already taken notice to some of the changes from the actual G1 counterparts to these actual modern day vehicle forms. But I will say, for the record, that I have never ever seen a cement truck mixer look like this. Let's go ahead and take a look at the vehicles one at a time. We're going to start this off with the one that's closer to me, Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher is none other than a bulldozer. So he pretty much does what he's meant to do. He rolls and he can push things if you so choose. He's got working wheels on the bottom because the treads do not roll as they are part of the transformation into the legs. So that's pretty much it. A little bit of kibble here, but you know, it's nothing to really notice from the front. A very nice stamped on Decepticon logo. Dead center, which is cool. A few painted areas. Scrapper, the leader of the Decepticons, which you can argue with me later. All he pretty much does is what an actual scooper does. Scoops things, yeah. The 4 wheels do move. Not much in the terms of paint on this guy. He's pretty plain, except for the purple sticking out here and the Decepticon tampograph right here. And some nice painted windows. Very crisp paint jobs, pretty clean. So there's not much to talk about and there's not much to complain about. So there you go. Scrapper. Mixmaster is kind of the weird one because obviously this should be the front. This should be the front. But it's not. This is the front. Nice. The wheels do actually work, as you can see. All 6 of them do roll, no problem. Minor nitpick is the fact that the cement mixer does not rotate, so it's pretty stationary just like the Revenge of the Fallen figure. Long Haul, the fat boy himself, is probably the heaviest out of this whole group here, so, you know, him being the biggest part of the combiner team, it truly does show. I mean, he does have some nice paint apps here, so... yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard, but the fact is, you know, the dump part of this dump truck does not work, unfortunately. But other than that, rolls just fine. Plenty of clearance underneath. Hook has some issues. He's got an open gap here, but I did forget to mention that with Long Haul. Due to transformation, I can understand why this is here, this giant gap in the back. But what is very unforgivable is the fact that his arm here, the arm piece to the crane, is actually unusable. I mean, it moves up, it moves down, but it doesn't rotate and it doesn't extend, and this doesn't come down. It would have been nice if this was attached to a string where you could pull it down and lift stuff up and crank it back up. You get the idea. As you can see, it's one single bit of plastic, but, you know, that's where third party comes in, right? The wheels are a little hindered due to the bottom feet. Yes, dead giveaway, these are the bottom of his feet. And they touch the ground before the wheels do, so unfortunately, not all 6 wheels roll. And last but certainly not the least, seriously, is the Scoop Boy himself on the treads, which is none other than Scavenger. The wheels down here actually do roll, just like, you know, Bone Crusher, so no real issues there. He does have more actual colored plastic. The other figures do not, which makes this one actually pop. He does have a moving arm, as you can see. It bends, it rotates, full 360, it comes disassembled, attached right back in, and it moves up and down, and that's all due to transformation in the robot mode and then some. But unfortunately, the scooper here is pretty stationary because it's one single bit of plastic. But at least Hasbro was nice enough to paint the piston to show a little attention to detail, so it's not that much of an eyesore. Unfortunately, that's pretty much it for this figure. This does not rotate, so it doesn't really work like an actual vehicle does. But at least it's got enough clearance to roll. Of course, as usual, this set would actually come with a set of instruction manuals. As you can see, this is a pretty big instruction set. As you can see, here's my hand, and here's the thing. And that's not the whole entire thing. If you actually flip it out, it is one giant puzzle on the front and the back. Or in this case, this is the front and this is the back. But I digress. And that's not all. Of course, it's a Combiner Wars set, so it has to come with a Combiner Wars trading card. Yay! We all love cards. We get it. We get it. But that being the case, it's just that same image that was used on the front of the packaging, so, you know, no big deal. It is nice, but, you know, it's just that. Yay. Of course, though, what is this set without some accessories? I mean, after all, the characters actually need some weapons when they're in robot mode for close hand-to-hand combat or some long-range assault. But that being said, these are them. These are the parts that we will be using during the full combination into Devastator, but let's go through them one at a time. Here's a blaster of some kind that I just dropped. It's pretty hollow on the inside. Here's a blaster number 2, a big chunky one. That's probably going to be used with long haul for a lot of people. Probably. It's got this big handle. And it's got its tiny little handle for all the smaller people. And these, the most controversial part of this whole set. But, you know, for what it is, it has to work. So, yeah, Hasbro is calling these like blasters of some kind. I don't get it, but oh well, at least they got some nice paint apps. So, good. This is a blaster as well. Dual cannons. Yeah. And a tiny little handle for the Constructicons. And last but not least, the twin rocket launchers. Yeah. These look pretty badass. It's too bad that the actual rockets are not painted. I know I've seen Takara's image and they are painted. They're like red, but that's what a Gundam marker's for, people. So, some people actually neglect to mention that there are actually some handles for the Decepticons or the Constructicons to hold these things. So yeah, right there. Just flip them right back, and that's that. But all these accessories do have another play in them, because there's actually some weapon storage when in vehicle form. You can see there's these little tabs right here, there's a little hole right there. You can simply just peg them right in, and Scrapper can fly. Gives him a dynamic look in a way. It's kind of cool. Kind of like Mad Max style. So I dig it. And now for long haul. Well, if you haven't figured it out by now, he gets the rest of the junk. So there's that. And last but not least, there's this hole right here. Here's the tab right here. All you do is just tab it in. And yeah, pretty much long haul's doing all the work, with Scavenger just assisting in the areas where he really can't do anything about it. So don't be complaining when this Constructicon's got back problems. So there you have it, guys. That's a look at the vehicle forms for the Constructicons. So stay tuned for part 2, where we go from vehicles to robots, which is right now. And here we are with the Constructicons in robot mode. Now I will be taking a look at them personally, one at a time. So let's get right to it. Alright, so let's kick this off with my best to the worst. And we're going to do it with the leader of the Constructicons himself, Scrapper. So here he is in all his robot mode glory. And I gotta say, this is pretty outstanding. The proportions are pretty strong for a robot of such stature. For a Voyager class figure, he really isn't that bad. The detail on him is pretty surplus. I am very surprised on how well this is. Sure, there wasn't much in the terms of paint applications in his vehicle form, but in robot mode, that's where this one really shines. You've got a mix of some silver, a lot of purple, some gold, red, and then of course there's black, and then there's the, the basic green. So yeah, I mean, this figure's packing it in the terms of color, especially when it comes to being as very close and accurate to his G1 counterpart, that is, being the toy and not really the cartoon series. Anyway, here's your quick 360 look at everything about this figure. It's very nice. Everything is pretty much compact. Everything snaps into place. Even the backpack kibble isn't that bad looking. I've seen worse. And overall, he's not really that hollow, so I quite dig this. Now, as for articulation on this figure, this is pretty much where it hurts, unfortunately, and I can understand why it is the way it is. But Takara Tomy is planning to fix this up with their release, so, it's not really that big of a deal to me. But, yeah, it's just a heads up in case anybody wanted to know. Anyway, for articulation, Scrapper's got a ball jointed head, can look in any direction he so chooses. He's got a universal shoulder joint, and it's not really hindered at all. As you can see, it can go up pretty high. Very nice. And unfortunately, this is where it kills most collectors out there. A lot of people are pretty much disappointed about this, but there is no elbow joint for this figure. Oh well. No waist swivel, unfortunately, due to transformation, but you do have a bit of some weird turn to his body. I mean, well, of course, we will get to that soon enough for Devastator, but let's just close that back up. Ball jointed legs, go in any position you so choose. There we go. Knee joint, a bit of a thigh rotation, forgot to mention that, my bad. And last but not least, the feet can actually move up and down a bit due to transformation, but there is also the beautiful ankle pivot. Yeah. Now, Scavenger to me is a bit of a mock-up when it comes to comparing him with RID's Grimlock, and I mean the original RID line, because these figures have quite a bit in comparisons. Really, when it comes down to it, it's actually the legs. As a matter of fact, I actually had to go back and take a look at my figure compared to this figure to see whether or not they were just using parts, and rest assured, that is not the case, because, well, obviously that was a deluxe figure and this is actually a Voyager class figure, but don't tell me that thought has never crossed your mind. Anyway, let's take a look at the figure now, because he has got one of the weirdest looking head sculpts I have ever seen, but I guess that's what he looked like in G1, even though that time passed me. Yes, he pretty much follows in with Scrapper in the terms of paint applications being more superb in the robot mode rather than vehicle mode. So that's pretty nice. I do like how there's some red lights down here, kind of like a belt in a way, even a buckle. That's kind of cool. I never would have expected that. Anyway, here's your 360 look at this character here. Kibble is a bit of an issue, but you know, it is what it is. It would have been nice if the shovel piece was actually a separate joint where you could actually like fold it up, get this to collapse even closer to the back. But oh well. I mean, what are you gonna do, right? So let's get to his articulation. Ball jointed head. As you can see, it's got a bit of a pivot due to transformation, so that's nice. Ball jointed shoulders. Yes, ball jointed shoulders. Very nice. Ball jointed elbows. As you can see, they can go in any position you so choose. It's got a little bit of some wrist movement due to transformation. No waist swivel, unfortunately. I think that's pretty much for every Constructicon figure except for one. Ball jointed legs. As you can see, there's a 90-degree knee joint. There's also some swivel because it's actually a ball joint, my mistake. And the feet actually have some rocker joints, as you can see. Hook. Now, there's a lot to say about my third favorite figure of this lineup, but really when it comes down to it, it's kind of more negative than actually positive. I mean, the proportions on him are actually pretty good. It's there, and thankfully he does actually have some elbow joints, unlike Scrapper. But what really makes him my third favorite is just the fact that he's got hollow arms, and I mean hollow arms. Look at that. There's like nothing there. Now, I can understand that everything has to be so compact to get him into both vehicle mode, robot mode, and to make him look very top notch when being the upper body of Devastator. I can understand that, but are you seriously telling me, Hasbro, that this is truly the best that you could actually do with this figure? This is a mess. It really is. But I mean, there's other figures, there's worse figures down the road, but this is something that I just cannot forgive, unfortunately, and that's why he's not my second best, and that's why he's not my first best. But the other three that are coming up, well, let's just say there's a lot to talk about. But anyway, another issue I've got with this figure is the fact that he cannot actually stand. No matter what I do, this figure is so unbalanced because he's got too much in the back going on that it's just too much weight and he falls over pretty easily. But fortunately, Hasbro saw that coming and decided to use his crane piece as like a tripod. Let's get to the figure's articulation. He's got a ball jointed head, he's got universal shoulders, he's got way a lot of posability at the elbow, as you can see. He's also got wrist swivel, which is nice due to transformation, and that's both arms, just to let you know. No waist swivel, unfortunately, but he does have ball jointed legs. As you can see, he's got thigh rotation, It's got a 90-degree bend. Well, kind of. I mean, it's not exactly 90 degrees, but it's almost there. And last but not least, his feet pivot up and down, and he's got a rocker joint. Mixmaster. Now, this figure is pretty good. Even the hollowness to his arms are not as bad as Hook's. But I gotta say, there is just one thing that's really putting this figure at number 4 for me. And even though he is pretty much accurate to his G1 counterpart, being the toy in the actual cartoon, he's pulling a Waspinator back here, as you can see. Anyway, everything else seems to be very close and accurate to his G1 counterpart, especially with the dual cannons up here above his head. But there's also something else that I forgot to mention. Yes, it is pretty hard to get in there and actually rotate his head, but he can rotate it because, speaking of articulation, it is a ball-jointed head, which is nice. Universal shoulders, but they are hindered due to the kibble, unfortunately. He does have an elbow joint, not about, I'd say 100 degrees, not exactly 90, it's up more, but, you know, that's as far as it goes. No wrist swivel, no wrist rotation whatsoever, no waist joint, nothing like that. Ball jointed legs go up, back, in and out, rotation at the thigh. 90-degree elbow, 90-degree knee joints, and last but not least, the feet have a rocker joint, but no pivoting up and down due to transformation. Long haul, it's got to be the second to worst figure of this entire wave. I gotta say, this figure really disappointed me, but not as badly as the next one that I'm about to show off. But I will say that he is right there. As a matter of fact, they were about even, but I had to make a quick decision, so it's long haul. Now, long haul articulation, forget about it, alright? Let's just get right to it. I mean, the way that this figure has to transform into pretty much most of Devastator, when you think about it, really kills the articulation area. I mean, his vehicle mode, I can let it slide that the dumpster doesn't work like a dumpster truck would. And it just, there's many things to talk about with this figure, but I'm short on time. Anyway, let's just get right to it. Detail on this figure is pretty nice. He's pretty bulky for his size. It's a very big Voyager class figure. These big giant kneecaps here, not bothering me one bit. I think that actually makes him look pretty badass in a way. He's like, I mean, there's good things about him, there's bad things about him, but really, it's all about the articulation. He doesn't really have any. He does not have a ball joint. This is actually just a swivel joint, but at least it's there. You hearing me, Bandai? Anyway. Universal shoulder, but they are very hindered, and this side is kind of loose. It doesn't like to stay in place. Like this side right here, it's actually tight and it does stay locked in. I don't know what to do about that. It's just my figure. Your results will vary. He does have an elbow joint, if you can consider this an elbow joint, but hey, at least it's more than Scrapper, right? But it makes it look like the figure's broken. Oh well. He does have actually a waist joint. See that? And if you actually unpeg the back of his dumpster, you can actually get into, yeah. See? Nice. And let's get to it. Very tight legs, but they have to be with the springs on the inside just to keep Devastator in place when posing his leg. I can understand. It works. In and out, as you can see. There's a knee rotation, and yes, he does actually have an actual knee bend, 90 degrees, perfect. And last but not least, there is that beautiful ankle pivot. I am just going to come out and say it, this being my worst figure out of all of the Constructicons, you know, going from order from best to worst, this one truly is that icing on the cake. Why? Because of one flaw that Hasbro did not take the time to look at. And you can probably see it right here, but everybody, I mean everybody has pointed this out in their video reviews of this set. The crotch piece does not tab in whatsoever. There's just too much going on down here. You gotta peg in the leg pieces here, these black pieces. There's a peg, there's a hole, but it's not strong enough to support it. Then there's these two hooks right here that don't tab in whatsoever. They don't stay in place. You can try all you want, but trust me, nothing's gonna happen. You cannot get these to peg in. Or when you're trying to actually pose him for like taking photo shots or something. But just to let you know, as a heads up, it really is an eyesore when you're seeing that his fly is open the whole time. And this chest piece is what also is a pain in the bottom, because this does not tab in anywhere. I mean, it does stay in place, but it just does not tab in, and sometimes it covers up his face when you're trying to pose the figure, and I just don't like it. I don't. It's nice to look at, but really, when you want to mess around with the figure, it doesn't tab in anywhere, and there it goes, see? It just covered up the figure's face, and it just... Even these back pieces right here do not tab in anywhere. There's nowhere for them to peg into any place. Let's get to the actual articulation. He does have a ball-jointed head, as you can see. Bone Crusher has ball-jointed shoulders. He does have ball-jointed elbows and a bit of a pivot too, which is nice. No waist swivel, ball-jointed legs, ball-jointed knees, and there's a rocker joint and a little bit of some pivoting up and down due to transformation. There is really no other way to actually end this part of the review and move on to Devastator without doing a size comparisons as usual. So here you go. Here is a size comparisons between generations. So we have Springer, a Voyager class figure right here, and RC, a deluxe class figure. So now you can see truly that these figures are in fact 100% positive, nothing more than Voyager scale figures. I've already gone ahead and taken all the counterparts and just pretty much gotten them into their limb modes. Like, I got Bone Crusher and Scavenger in their arm components. I've got Mixmaster and Scrapper in their leg components. I've even got Long Haul in the back already set up as pretty much all Devastator in a way. And then finally, I've got Mixmaster sitting right here down in the center as the upper body part for Devastator, also the head. So, let's get right into this combination, and hopefully I'll be able to get this all on camera. So, this guy gets really big. here, flip this part out, which is his head, and have it in like so. And voila! Devastator in full effect. I gotta say, this figure is truly a masterpiece. It is a work of art. Hasbro took a lot of time and consideration into every single components combination into this one giant gestalt. This is amazing, and this is truly the reason why you are buying this figure. Nothing else matters. The vehicle modes to the Constructicons don't matter. The robot modes do not matter. It's all about Devastator. Why do you think on the box it says Devastator? It doesn't say the Constructicons. It says Devastator. There is no other reason to buy this except for this. So here is an actual look at Devastator compared to Springer and RC from the past thrilling 30th generations line. So you can see a Voyager scale and a deluxe compared to this giant Titan. So that's cool. But that's not what you want to see, really. When it comes down to it, Combiner Wars needs to be compared with Combiner Wars. So, if you'll bear with me for just 1 second, I'll bring in a few things. So here we have Bombshell, a Legends class figure compared to Devastator. That's not bad. But you want to see something bigger. Well, how's about Megatron, the leader of the Decepticons, compared to Devastator? That's pretty good. But you're still not satisfied. You want to see something more. You want to see something compared to the actual theme of Combiner Wars. If it don't combine, it's not Combiner Wars. So are you talking about like Minosaur and Superion compared to Devastator? As you can see, the basic combiners have nothing compared to the awesome might that is Titan Devastator. This is a big figure, it really is. But that's not all I'm going to compare. I've got one more trick up my sleeve. So if you don't mind, I'll just slide Devastator out of the way real quickly, because I'm sure you probably have been thinking about this and wondering exactly what is the scale between this behemoth and this behemoth right here. As you can see, it's good, but it's no contest, because Fortress Maximus, no matter which version you have, will still be towering over Devastator. This figure is 18 inches, this figure is 24 inches. Alright, so before we go, let's take one last look at Devastator up close and personal so you can scope out all this detail. Look at that face sculpt, that is awesome. Look at all this gorgeous detail. I mean, it's just popping with goodness everywhere. The detail on this figure is so superb. Look at it. Look at all this. I am just blown away by how awesome this figure is. He's loaded with everything. I mean, this figure's got some heft to it. It really does. So let's take a look at the back of this figure real quickly. So you can see, even the back of this figure really isn't that bad. I don't think I've ever been blown away as I have right now with any Transformers combiner. This is amazing. I mean, Superion was good. Minosaur was iffy. I haven't even reviewed that figure yet, but really Devastator is truly the icing on the cake. This is the figure you want to have in your Transformers collection. There is no ands, if, or buts about it. This figure is packing with everything that a Transformer fan wants, or pretty much just a Devastator fan. Now, like I said, Takara's got plans. They're going to be upgrading their version of this figure, but you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, if you want to go with the Takara one, prepare to spend a lot more than this figure. This figure cost me $150. That's articulation, because this figure is packed with it. He's got a swivel head. He's got universal shoulders, which is nice. He's got a 90-degree elbow bend. He's got a rotation at the elbow as well. He does have wrist rotation, though it is kind of tight, so it's hard to move, but he does actually have finger articulation. That's nice. All the fingers are actually one single piece. So, you know, it is what it is. He does have waist rotation. If you actually unpeg the dumpster on the back, there you can see it. Yep. So that's nice. We just tap that right back in. These bits right here actually flip up, so you can actually get some leg movement out of this hand. But there you go. See, it can go higher than this, but I just can't get to it, unfortunately. And the figure, yeah, right now I'm having a bit of stability issue, but the figure also does have knee joints, as you can see right here. That's about as high as they actually get. And I know some people actually complain that it's not directly centered to where it should be at the legs, but, you know, I'm not complaining here. This figure really is packing a lot. It's got ankle pivot, so you can keep his feet flat on the ground as much as you can. I mean, this figure is amazing. I got nothing else to say. I'm praising this figure way too much. I've got to end this video. I want to go on, but I can't. There's other things to review down the road. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought of this video review. Is this good? Is it bad? Is this the way that I should really start out this new reviewing channel on this new reviewing station? I don't know. You just let me know. Leave it down in the comments section. Feel free to hit the like button or, you know, hit thumbs down. I don't know. Just do what you feel is right. Let me know whether or not I need to improve on my reviews. Hopefully some of your feedback will help me out later on down the road. So that's it. Until the next video review, that's me, Sonic Ranger, signing out. Thanks very much for watching this, and I will see you whenever you see me.